Welcome to the Nectar Research Cloud video tutorials. This tutorial will show you how to connect to your VM using a Mac and SSH. To start with, we can see that my new server that we created in the previous tutorial is up and running. If I click on instances, I can see that it has an IP. I've actually created a new one, so it's got a different IP. That's okay. Now, in order to access it, as long as it's active and it's up and running, we should be able to access using a program called Terminal on the Mac. Windows will use a slightly different method. Now, if you remember from the previous tutorial, our key was downloaded to the Downloads folder. You may have it in a different location. I'm going to change directory to Downloads, and I'm going to do an expanded list of all of the keys that I have, which in my case is only one. Now, the part I want to show you is that these security permissions don't quite work as they stand, so I need to do a thing called chmod. I'm going to use 600. You don't have to worry about what that number means, but if we just use it, that will provide a secure key that works. If I have a look at the list ls again, you can see it's changed slightly. So basically I've just restricted it. It's not quite as open, but it's still quite useful. Now I'm going to SSH. I'm going to allow X11 forwarding, which is my VM doesn't have an actual screen, so any windows I create on that I want to forward to my local computer. So I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But I put in a -X in the command in order to make sure that's possible. Then I put in a -I to tell it that I'm going to use a local key, and I put in the key pair. Now you may have to put in a path if you're doing this from a different location. I'm in the downloads folder, so it'll work. Now I have to tell it what user I'm going to use. Ubuntu, if you're using Ubuntu, the default user is Ubuntu. If you're using Scientific Linux or Fedora or something, you might have to use something like root or something else. And then I'll put in the IP that I'm connecting to, which in my case will be 115.146.92.141. Now, because it's the first time I'm connecting to this VM, I'm prompted to put this RSA key fingerprint into my known hosts. That's fine for this one. I shouldn't have to do this again because it will become part of my known hosts, so every time I connect from this computer, it will recognize it. And now I'm connected to my virtual machine. Now, the first thing I want to do with my virtual machine is update the package repository, which is the list of all the packages that I have installed. So I'm going to type in sudo apt-get update. And this will go through the repository and make sure that everything has the latest information. We'll just zip through this quickly. And finally, I'll have an up-to-date package repository. Now, I actually need to upgrade the packages based on the package repository, so I type in sudo apt-get upgrade. And this will allow me to upgrade. Just press yes to enter to press to accept it. This will update all of the packages that I have installed, and this will take a little while, so we'll zip through this quickly. When you get to this window, you need to press the Tab key to jump down to the OK button. You can't use the mouse, unfortunately, but you press the Tab to highlight the OK. Then press Return or Enter. And that will pretty much finish off the setup for your upgrade. Basically, this is a process that you must do at the very first time you connect to your VM. But it's very important that you do it on a regular basis afterwards as well. It's important to maintain the latest packages so that you can be confident that it's a secure system. Now, before we actually leave this tutorial, I want to show you quickly how to forward an X11 window. Now, at the moment we don't have any X11 apps, so I'm going to do a sudo apt-get install X11 apps. These are just a couple of little apps that will allow us to demonstrate how forwarding a window from your VM to your local computer can work. The apps are very basic, so we're not going to see very much, but you could for instance install Firefox and have a web browser forwarded from your virtual machine so that the window appeared on your local computer. Now, if you remember when we did our initial SSH from our local computer, we put in that -X. Well, that was so that we would allow our SSH session to permit these windows to be forwarded, these X11 windows. Now, if I type X clock and return, we now have the clock being forwarded to my local computer, and I can close it here and it will end the session on my VM. So that's it. That's how you SSH to your computer using your VM using a Mac, and how you forward Windows on to your local computer. Okay, thanks.